trading isn't like black and white. Literally just pick one. It will work. You just have to stick to it. A lot of people do trendline breakout and they're like, oh man, it's not working. What should I do now? Dude, like it works. Doesn't matter what you do. You just have to stick to it.
What's up, traders? Welcome back to another TFT interview. My name is Kenta. Today we're joined with Nan. He's funded with $400K and he's gotten over $25,000 payout. Welcome, Nan. How are you doing today, bro?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Kenta?
Doing well. Thanks for joining. I usually start these interviews off just by, having you introduce yourself and basically tell us how you got into trading.
Yeah, so I guess back in like 2015, when I joined the army, meet up with some friends there. They did a lot of like cryptocurrencies, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I started dabbling in that, and at first, I was buying and selling, and when I'm up like 10 cents, 20 cents, I'm like, super ecstatic. And I did it for the whole day, and I made like a couple bucks here and there, and I was super happy. But then over time, I kind of like dig into it, and a couple of my friends did options, and I'm like, wow, you can definitely make more than $2 a day.
Yeah.
So for me back then, it was just like looking up like the sentiments, like, oh yeah, people feel like I have a feeling people are gonna buy here, or I have a feeling people are gonna sell here. It wasn't like anything like systematic or analytical. Yeah, that's how my journey started, and I lost a lot just based on like, oh, I have a feeling that this is gonna happen, I have a feeling that that's gonna happen. When my little brother was telling me, oh yeah, my friend's watching chart right now, I'm like, what does he mean by watching? Like, just have a feeling, like, if people wants to buy, they buy. Like, what is he watching for? Kind of over time, I kind of realized like, all right, stock price move, in certain waves and patterns, and support and resistance, supply and demand. That's what they're watching for. Like, hey, it's creating this pattern close to support and resistance, or that's what they're waiting for. And, that's when I got kind of serious about 2 years ago. But yeah, my journey started in 2015, and I'm still not crazy profitable yet, only because I'm learning every day, and trying to figure out what is my trading style and how I can hone that and make it my own. And well, not my own, but I'm saying like just kind of make it my like a trading style that I will be using and not jumping around.
So you started about 8 years ago. When was the turning point for yourself? Like, when did you start making a shift towards, I guess, your own success?
I would say about 2 years ago. That's when I kind of realized like, hey, it's not about hope, or it's not about what people are saying about certain stocks or certain pairs. It's about how you analyze the chart. And obviously people say, trading is like 90% psychology, and I'm working on that 90% right now. I understand the concept. I understand, what needs to be done, where, and how much you're risking, but it's just the psychology aspect. It's just so hard. Sometimes I catch myself FOMO, and sometimes I catch myself chasing. There are trades where I'm like, damn, if I just waited, because it literally hit my line and it bounced, I could have made a lot, but instead I FOMO and I enter early and I got stopped out. And I had to cut loss. So, 2 years ago, that's when I realized how to trade and the aspect of it. But up until now, I'm still working on the psychology aspect.
What's helping you with that psychology aspect right now? Like, what are you implementing to sort of like, you know what I mean?
Once I'm up for the day, I kind of like just go drive around, leave the house, go get food. But, obviously I can't do that every day. Gas is expensive. I feel like it's like one of those things where I'm like, I've been down so much that it's like one of those things like I have to get this right, or else I won't survive long in this career. And, and people said, hey, you have to understand that this is a business. It's not a joke where like, oh yeah, I'll, make a couple bucks here and there. You have to treat it like a business. If you're down $100 a day, it's just $100 down day, but then tomorrow you make it back. Have a good faith in my strategy, then just know that $100 loss today, I'll make $300 back tomorrow. I don't know. It's just like something that I just have to work on myself. I really don't have like something that really helps me with the psychology. If you lose enough, you just kind of like scar, and then you just don't want to lose anymore. That's pretty much it.
That's actually pretty funny, because I just had an interview before this, and the gentleman was saying like, he's like, you just lose a substantial amount of money that you decide like, I need to change my psychology. Like,
Yeah, like I keep losing.
yeah, exactly. Are you able to maybe share your screen and show us some of the last successful trades or like your strategy a little bit?
I can share you on TradingView, you don't mind. So for me, I just look for like it's back to basic, like ascending wedge, descending wedge. You see how like this one's climbing right now, and literally I just wait for breakout right here, and it retest it right here, and then I enter. So 47 down to here, 30. That's 100 pips.
And what does your like risk management look like as well? Like when you entered, is it a certain amount of pips that you always use, or is it like depending on?
I have a mental stop loss, and it depends on the structure too. So right here, I don't have a stop loss only because I draw this line right here. It's been holding as a resistance, and it became a support. So it was like an area of interest. And sometimes it does, the candle does wick all the way up here just to grab liquidity and pull back down. If it pumps past this, then I'll definitely close. So for this trade, if I enter right here, and it goes down, it goes down. But if it pumps past this area, I'll definitely close. Yeah.
So do you enter like a specific lot size every time, or do you adjust your lot size?
Yeah, lot size depending. Like this one, I felt good, so I'll probably do like on a 400K, I'll do like 3 to 4 lots, only because it's so close to like an area of interest, and it already tanked, and then I was going back up to grab liquidity to go down some more. And then this one right here, I had a big success. I just waited for it to break out of this zone, and this area right here touched my trend line. Like I drew this trend line right here like a few days before this. I literally just wait for the candle to close outside of this.
Nice. Okay. And then you just sold.
Yeah, I just sold, and then I just enter. So 34, close to like 50, 60 pips, but my TP is usually around like 30, 40 pips. Sometimes I'll hold a little longer, or depending on the trade. And then this one too. So right here, pumping up, and right here, like around the area of interest again, right? So this was a support, and then the resistance. So around this area, I felt good. So it was 8:30, the market open, and then gold pumped. But I didn't chase because I knew this, it's pretty bearish pattern for me. So I just waited for it to get rejected a couple times here, and I just entered. So this one I did a little early. Usually I wait for it to break out. But this one this is what you call FOMO. I didn't stick to my plan. I enter early, but
Okay, so you have like support resistance, you have your trend lines, you have the couple moving averages. Is that like the 21 and the 9, or like what is the?
yeah, 2050, and I have a Lux algo that shows, I mean, obviously I can go out and draw the support and resistance, supply and demand, but this indicator does a pretty good job. It just takes away like one less thing I have to focus on. Sometimes, when I'm trading, I'm just so focused on the trade, and having this here just kind of remind me like, hey, you're near support, or hey, you're near resistance, like snap out of it type thing. Because
Is that volume that's on the what you're kind of?
oh, that's RSI. It's just like a fancy RSI.
No, I meant the one above, like near where the price is at. There's like those different green and red
Yeah, it's like a volume order book.
order book. Okay.
Like it shows like, like you see how like right here is like previous supply. So that's why there's like heavy volume right here. Because if you switch it to 15-minute, yeah, so that's why you get like big volume down here, because this, yeah, and then this is like another support. So yeah, it's like a volume.
So your strategy is very much about like trend line breaks.
Yeah, trend line breaks, and just kind of like,
Like, are you looking at higher time frames to kind of determine, am I focused on sells or am I focused on buys? Or are you more so just few trades you took were sells?
so it all depends. And for me, mainly it's just these patterns. So like right now, even though it's on a downtrend, but I'm waiting for it to break out of this because, I'm pretty bullish on the higher time frame, only because on the daily, it touched this trend line, but obviously it could break out this trend line. But I'm just waiting for it to break out either, to be honest. Yeah, like I'm just waiting for it to leave this area before
And we have CPI data coming out tomorrow. So is that also something that you consider? Like, do you look at fundamentals or?
100%. So right here, it pumped, and then it does that pattern. It pumped again, and it pushed down, and it does that descending wedge pattern, and it touched my trend line. So here I was pretty bullish, because this is like this line right here. That's a daily time frame trend line, and obviously, right, it's news. So news doesn't care about trend lines, just based on data. But the fact that it pumped, right? That's when I knew I could chase. I felt bullish for that. And these patterns are telling me like, hey, it's pretty bullish right now. So if the price went down, I would not chased it. But if it pumped, then I definitely I think I'd chase that day for sure. And then right here I drew trend line two. So I usually switch this to a line chart. It's kind of it gives me a little bit better. And then right here it tanked and it pulled up to retest. And again, I FOMO. So I think that day I did a sell here and I opened another one here. I opened another one here and eventually it dropped.
Did you enter before news, or like did you trade that day? Like what did that look like?
So right when it pumped, and the candle pulled down a little bit, but I enter. I felt good because data said it's a buy. Daily right here, this line is a daily trend line. That's also a buy. And right before it happened, right here too, that's a 15-minute formation. So I felt pretty good that this formation is pretty bullish. So, and this is right here is another support zone. And right when this thing tested support and got rejected, I felt good on a buy. When it pumped, I enter a buy. So I don't know. I think I enter around here somewhere. Yeah, and I close around here.
Like, how is your risk management during a day like that? Because obviously it's high volatility. Do you enter and then set your stop loss immediately, or do you kind of give it some like room? Like, how do you approach that?
That's when I tell you in the beginning, right? That's where I'm still working on the whole psychology aspect. If I was really good at it, I'd be like a millionaire by now. But so let's say if I enter, like, for example, I don't remember the trade here, but let's say I did one lot here and it pumped and then I'm up $200. Usually on a day like this, I'll hold for like $500 for like 50 pips. And stop loss wise, I'll close it if it pushed past this area. For this trade, I think I would lose more than I would win. So usually when I enter one lot here and it pull down to this area, I'll probably enter another lot.
Got it. Okay.
Only because, with CPI, usually pretty good with following the direction that
your confidence comes behind with the fundamentals. Like you're like, okay, the data's saying this, it should be moving up. I added a position. It's coming back to like kind of pull back here, but I'm confident in this fundamental data that I'm going to add another position. But if I do hit this level, I'm going to get out completely type of thing.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Like I said, higher time frame, trend line, respecting it. And
like, where did you learn the fundamental side? Like, did you have someone teach you?
A lot of YouTube videos. Honestly, I'm like glued to my computer. So I watch chart and it's like, when I tell my little cousin and my little brother when they started trading, trading and watching chart is like talking to somebody and understanding their personality, and you watch enough chart, you kind of understand like, all right, whenever it moves like this and it does this is what's happening, or like it's like body language. The chart is telling like a body language, you're watching the people and they flinch or like they cuddle up. It's because they scare or like defensive. So same here, and sometimes we lose because we judge the book by its cover. The people flinch doesn't mean that they're scared. But yeah, mainly YouTube and just watching the chart and trial and error, a lot of it.
So tell me this, like, I mean, from what you explained, it sounds kind of like you're risking small, at least, or on a 400K account. Like if you're making $500, it's like, what is that, like 0.1% or 2%, something like that? Like,
yeah, no. So for me, I think this day I entered one lot and it pulled down a little bit. I did another lot because news, I try not to open four lots like I usually do. I don't want to risk too much on news day. Anything could happen. So, I end up opening like two or three lots here and it pumped. I think I made like $1,800 or $1,600.
and that's on the live account.
Yeah, on the live account.
So was your approach when you were passing like phase 1 and phase 2, was that risk different? Like, did you risk more, or how did you approach it versus now?
As long as you don't show, my family members this. I trade with my little cousin right now. I'm teaching them. And I tell them, I yelled at them every time they go risky on their challenge. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to go risky on the challenge, pass it. And then once I go live, I'll trade, more conservative. And I tell them, like, dude, if you risky on the thing, you're going to build bad habits. It's going to be hard to get out of it once you go live. And for me, I go crazy risky on the challenges. It's such a bad habit. I know.
There are like traders that's part of their strategy. They'll approach the risk with like maybe 2%, on a trade, maybe even 3 to like kind of quickly get through challenges, and then once they get to the live funding, they're like pull back maybe like 0.25, 0.5% risk. No judgment. I just curious like what your approach is.
That's why the perm industry still stands, right? Those are the people that they risk so much and they yearning for that euphoria, you know, making 2 Gs, making 5 Gs or 10 Gs or making 20K in one day, right? And now once they go live, damn, I could do that. And they risk it, and they lose. And the people that see sustaining these are like people that's like, are very, persistent and very consistent with their trades. They have their trading plan and they do that whether on challenges or live account. But for me, I trade super risky on the challenges. And once I go live, I try very hard to hold back because I'm like, damn, I want to make $4,000 like I did on the challenges per day.
What's risky for you? Like, is that 2% per trade, like 1% per trade? Like, what's the cutoff?
Risky for me would be like on a 400K account, once I hit like 5K DD, and sometimes it does get to that. And that's for me, that's super risky. And if there are days where I'm like, all right, focused and feeling good about the setup, my DD is like not even over 1,000. And that's with 4 lots. Like I tell my cousin to not be risky, but then that's what I'm saying. Don't show this video to my cousin because and I tell him like, hey, don't go risky. You're gonna start feeling that, and you're gonna go risky on your live account. But for me, on the challenges, I go risky because I want to get the live account ASAP just so I can start making money. And I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, totally. It's a psychological battle for sure. So do you just trade gold? Is that it?
I trade gold. I trade US 30. This was on Wednesday, December 20th. Everybody was like talking. They're like, oh, did you guys catch that ride down on US 30? So I drew this line and I just waited for it to break out of this zone. And I just did a 1 lot sell on the 1 lot. And I think it closed around here because, yeah, it just tanked.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure something happened behind the curtains. I don't know. I just trade based on this, and look at it. It was so beautiful.
So basically trend lines, no candle formations that you look at or anything like.
Not really, because obviously you can look at like high time frames. Sometime like on a 30-minute, let's say if I see like a candle, like a rejection, or like right here is all green, but then this one like red and it's pushing down hard. I go down to the 5-minute to see what's going on. And at the 5 minute shows that it is pushing down to like an engulfing candle. I don't really go into like like doji or shooting star or like hammer. Yeah, I just trade based on these patterns, and it's working out well for me. So I just stick to these patterns. And
As far as your trade like management, do you sit and do you watch like the entire time you're in a trade? Do you go about your day, like set your stop loss and like kind of go about it?
so I have like a cheap EA that I bought. I set it up to manage like a TP and stop loss, and it shows me where break even is and stuff. So literally, I just set buy limit and sell limits. So let's say if that day, if I'm in front of my computer and I feel good about the trade, I'll do 4 lots. But if sometime I FOMO, I'll enter 1 lot and I space out the 4 lots. So I'll do like 1 lot here, and I'll look for the next zone. Let's say I'm on like 1 lot buy, and then I'll go, like another buy limit here, another buy limit here, another buy limit down here, just based on the line or whatever. Because, I have a 2-year-old, so that's why I rely on that sometimes because, I'll just, cry out of nowhere. And, I guess that's what babies do, right? So, but if the days where I don't have my kid with me, I sit in front of the computer because, like I said, I love watching chart. I just sit there and watch it all day, and I manage it that way. And sometimes, like let's say my TP on the bot is like up here. For example, let's say I'm gonna buy right here, right? And TP for the bot is up here, but then I see something happening around here. Maybe it's retesting this area. Then I'll take my profit earlier, and that's what I like to do. I'll let the bot do it if I have to, but usually I try to close it out manually. And about the trading journey too, I started this year with a couple of my friends who, we started like a group together, and they super knowledgeable, and they've been helping me out because sometimes I didn't even know what liquidity was, when I was like a year ago, and then they start explaining it to me, sending me like helpful videos.
What is liquidity?
Liquidity is just like I tell my cousin like an area where people place bets. I like tell him like, hey, this is like an area where people are placing bets. I don't want to make it sound like this is gambling, but just where people are putting their money, and you want to be in that area going the right way.
You want to be going in that area in the right direction.
Exactly. You don't want to enter where there's no volume, no liquidity, because you're gonna be sitting on that tray on your hand all day. But if you catch like a nice pocket of liquidity, make sure you understand what you're doing and you know if you're gonna do placing a buy or sell. Yeah, like this one right here, it was like 10 o'clock, right? A lot of liquidity out here earlier. Yeah, people look at this chart. I don't think they understand. Only I understand. You know, I'm sure people are looking at this video, they're gonna be like, "Well, what an amateur! So many lines."
Whatever works, whatever strategy you use, as long as it's working for you, it's like doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It's like, are you making money or not?
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you showing us your strategy, kind of like a little bit of breakdown of what you got going on here. So I wanted to ask you, like, are you working right now as well? Like, do you have a job? Like, or are you just strictly trading? Like, how did you, I mean, I'm sure you had some sort of job at some point, right?
I
So
was in talent acquisition. I worked for a Meta. Yeah, and I also worked for Amazon as talent acquisition. And then, well, I worked for Amazon first as a contractor, and I moved on to Meta full time. That was last year also when my friends started Pips Alliance, the group that we started trading together. I've been super busy with that. And I'm like, huh, should I, quit my job and do this full time? I would say lucked out but I got laid off. You know,
yeah,
I'm like, you know what? This is a calling. And then a month later, the baby on top of trading. And obviously, it's super irresponsible. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done it. Let's say if I start like a mentor group right now and kind of teaching young or new investors, I would tell them just, stick with your full-time job. Do this on the side. If you do it right, you don't need to trade more than 2 hours a day. You literally, the night before, set up trend lines around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. For if you trade gold around 8:30, that's when the most liquidity is happening. When the market opens, if you understand what you planned the night before, you can just hop in and you can catch 50 pips easily every morning. And you can go about your day with your kid or your job. To answer your question, no, I'm not working right now. That's why I'm trying to do this right so that I can support my family.
that's got to be a huge like motivational factor there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Did you feel like a difference and shift once you like had your baby? Like, did you feel like a different type of motivation, a different type of inspiration that was like, okay, this has to work, not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there are days where I'm like, all right, I gotta take this seriously, because I don't have a job anymore, and I have a baby, I have a family that I have to support. But then there are days where I'm like, all right, since I don't have a job, I need to make a lot of money. It's just like a psychological back and forth, and obviously people with, a full-time job, they can take their time. They don't have to hurry. They don't have to rush. They don't have to try to make a lot of money. It's a psychological battle every day, just trying to like, all right, I gotta take this slowly. I can't make $1 million by tomorrow. It's not gonna happen.
You're funded with the 400K right now. You said you're working on a Dragon Challenge, 200K. How long were there other challenges you took that, like, how many times did it take to get funded finally?
The problem for me is not getting funded. The problem for me is maintaining the live account. There are a couple of live accounts that I got paid out once, and then after that, I just lost it. I'm just like, Jesus, like I gotta like, but those are like the smaller accounts, and that's why I opened the 400K because I'm like, all right, even making 1%, it was like 4 grand a day. It feels pretty nice, versus opening a 50K, making $500 a day. I mean, I'm not saying $500 a day is not a lot. $500, 4,000, like, but again, it's just like a mental thing, because let's say if I open one lot with 50K, then I open four lot, it's just equivalent, you know what I mean? But just the amount of money that you could potentially making is just better on the 400K, so I don't have to like trade out like 650Ks or whatever. Yeah, it took quite some tries, just trying to get used to DD, daily drawdown, and like I said, I'm still learning like risk. Like when I'm hit big DD, psychologically I'm just like, damn. And I just sat there watching the account get blown only because I just like gave up for that 1 second. I'm just like, Jesus, like, and I just sit there and I just watch it. It took quite some tries, but now like, passing it to 200K Dragon, I think phase one took me like 2 or 3 days. I just opened like 3 lots here and there. And then I'm on phase two right now and I am up 4,000 and this is day 4.
You have a trading group, with your friends or whatever?
Yeah, we named it Pips Alliance.
Pips Alliance, okay.
just kind of like helping other people who join like on firms. And also, we build like trading robots. We help people set that up, and it's a pretty cool group.
Is that pretty like simple, like building robots?
We don't build it ourselves. We just look for coders. And for us, we just design the bot on how, when it should open trade and stop loss or, things like that. People subscribe to it monthly. And then, I don't want any credit from you guys, but anyone in our group asked like, oh yeah, what firm should we buy? I said TFT. And
Let's go, TFT. Why TFT? Just because you're funded with us, or do you, like, what's the experience there?
every time I reach out to customer service and they get back to me right away, they'll email me, and then as long as I don't open a new ticket, I just reply to the email, and then they just usually just get back to me, and then you guys have been pretty good to me, so I have no complaints. So anyone asks what's at TFT, because I've been using you guys and yeah, no complaints.
So like, what are your like, goals overall, like with the trading, life? What are your plans?
Obviously, I want to be better at risk management so I can maintain these live accounts for a long time to support family. Long-term goal, I love teaching, and like right now I have my little brother and my little cousin under my wing and kind of teach them this chart. And in the morning we Zoom and we trade together. We hold each other accountable. But my goal is to maybe, start like a mentor group. A lot of people, who trade don't even know about firms and what firm to get into. And I guess that's my goal. I want to be able to maximize with all the trusted firms out there to make as much money as I can.
I want to ask you as well, like if there's like a trader right now that's struggling, maybe not being able to pass accounts or, having trouble with their live account, whatever the case may be, like what is your advice for that type of trader?
Well, it depends on what their struggle is, whether if it's risk management, that's nothing I can help because risk management is just psychological. Everybody's different. It's just something that you have to work on your own. I see people post on Facebook like, oh, how do I be, better at risk management? Like, dude, like you just have to trade and learn it for yourself. Because I could tell you to do this, risk 1%. I guarantee you're not going to do that. You're going to risk 1% for like a day, and the next day you're like, oh, maybe two, maybe three now. It just takes time. And for people who have FOMO, do not FOMO. It will happen. Once you find a setup that works for you, just understand and trust it that it will happen. And I think I showed you earlier, right? Like trendline breakout. You see how like it climbed all day? If you FOMO, you're like, oh, right here could be it. Oh, right here could be it. It climbed all day, but then look, it break out, and look, you gained so much if you just waited. So it's all about patience, timing, and just know that it will happen. Just take time and wait. I'm working on that myself right now too. So,
well, you're funded right now, so just, stick to it, right? And stay consistent. And yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that advice. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience before we go?
yeah, I'm not a big social media guy. I barely use Facebook. To be successful in this industry, it just takes time. And a lot of people, on Facebook asking, how do I pass, or like, why am I struggling to pass? Is because like every day I see them asking on Facebook, like, oh, what strategy are you using? What strategy are you using? And they're jumping around, you know what I mean? Trading isn't like black and white. Literally just pick one. It will work. You just have to stick to it. A lot of people do trendline breakout and they're like, oh man, it's not working. What should I do now? Dude, like it works. Doesn't matter what you do. Like so if you're trading, rejection at support and resistance, it works as long as you set the, stop loss the right way, and it will work. You just have to stick to it and stick to a higher time frame support and resistance rather than trading 1 minute support and resistance. That's not gonna work,
I appreciate that, bro. I think that's definitely helpful advice. I mean, pick a strategy and stick with it, and work on your risk management, work on your psychology, see what you're doing wrong. This is like a recurring thing. It's like if you are not successful or you're not consistent in your own thing, like figure out like it's probably you, like whatever you're doing, look at your mistakes and try not to make those same mistakes. Easier said than done, right? But you can do it. You can definitely do it. So yeah, I appreciate you hopping on here. I wish you the most success on your journey, and I hope that you can get that ball rolling with the mentorship and everything that you're looking to do. But yeah, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it, Nan.
Thanks, Kenta.
If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a comment. I know that most of you guys aren't subscribed, so just hit that button real quick. It'll really help us out. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.